Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me for this short video training today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Angela Pruce. I am a child and family therapist, a parent coach. I am the writer behind the website Parents with Confidence, and I also have 3 kids, 2 of whom are spirited or strong-willed. I help parents raising spirited, strong-willed kids find strong confidence in their parenting and close connected parent-child relationships. So again, I am so glad you're here. Today we are going to talk about the biggest untold secret in parenting, what I believe is the biggest untold secret in parenting, and we're going to talk about 3 things more specifically. We'll talk about the parenting secret no one tells you before you become a parent, why 8 to 13% of parents are set up for failure, and we're going to talk about the destructive trap that you need to break free from. So, how to know if you are in the right place today? You are in the right place if you have felt like there has been unexpected challenges for you all along your journey of parenthood. You are in the right place if you often feel like you are not good enough as a parent. If you feel helpless a lot of times in getting your child to listen and cooperate and feel hopeless that you will be able to get through to them and figure out how to communicate and have more peace in your home. You are in the right place if you are often feeling exhausted and burnt out at the end of the day. So, what is the biggest parenting secret that nobody tells us before we become parents? So, I actually think this is best summed up in a really great quote from a doctor. His name is Perry Glass, and he wrote an article for the New York Times years ago. So, here's his quote. He says, "Every child is a different assignment. We can all pay lip service to that cheerfully enough. But the hard thing to believe is how different the assignments can be. Within the range of developmentally typical children, some parents have a much, much harder job than others. More drudge work, less gratification, more public shaming. It sometimes feels like the great undiscussed secret of pediatrics and of parenting." Wow. So, I could not agree more with Dr. Perry's statement here, and I'm not quite sure why more parents and professionals aren't trying to shout this message from the rooftops, because there are so many parents out there that are struggling with their child and they don't understand why. And the reason why, is so we're moving on here. So, of course, that's the parenting secret nobody tells us before we become a parent. The parenting secret is that some kids are much more difficult to discipline, to correct, to engage with, and to raise because they're more complex. The reason is they have a combination of what are known as temperament characteristics and personality traits. These things have been researched for decades. We know that kids come into the world hardwired with certain traits, and when they have a certain combination of traits, then they are what we've come to know commonly as a strong-willed child or a spirited child. And what I believe are, I know you may not be feeling this at this moment, but are positive things. I think that those are positive descriptors. But many parents don't, because they have not been given the knowledge and the tools yet to be able to feel successful and to work with their strong-willed child. So the biggest parenting secret is that you may have a child that you do not understand, and they may constantly challenge you. If they have high ratings in the temperament scales of persistence, of emotional intensity, their sensory experience, right? How physically active they are, physical activity, all of these things really go into what a child's needs will be and how complex the child will be in order to get them just to move through the world. So why are 8 to 13% of parents set up to fail? Well, as you may have guessed, that is the approximated number of kids that are spirited or strong-willed. That's a lot of kids, right? There's a reason that these traits are showing up in the world. We need these traits. But 8 to 13% of parents are set up to fail. And this is because these are great parents, by the way. These are good, intentional, hardworking parents that I have seen over and over again in my therapy practice, through parent coaching, in my online communities, be just trying so hard to find different approaches that will work to get through to their child, to help their child listen, to encourage their child. They're trying all the things that they're being told to do, and they are just not working, and they're just failing and feeling like a failure as a result. This is because in our culture, we really don't ascribe to this fact, this knowledge that seems so simple, that every child is different and that some kids will need different approaches. And it seems almost too silly and too simple to even just say it out loud, but it's so true. Just like Dr. Perry mentioned, within the range of developmentally typical children, some parents will have a much different experience. We all can agree that, all kids are different, but how different it can make the parenting journey is something that's just not talked about, right? But it makes a huge difference because we can't use the same approaches for all kids. And that is exactly what kind of, if we call it popular parenting culture or conventional parenting culture, whatever you want to call it, tells us to do, right? They tell us to do the things that we've, the old school things, right? Put them in a timeout, take away their privileges, use punishments, get louder, get firmer, raise your voice more, be more consistent, keep going, follow through, don't give in, don't show them who's boss, don't back down. These are the things that we're told to do, and these are the things that other people tell us to do. I'm guessing I'm not alone in that I have many times received feedback from people, from well-meaning people, family, friends, whoever it might be. You just need to give them more discipline. You just need to do X, Y, Z. And, those things are frustrating because little do they know we've tried the things. We've tried everything because we've been desperate and we've been struggling. And like I said, we're not lazy parents. We're not parents who don't care and who haven't tried. We're not apathetic. We're hardworking parents that are intentional and that want to do what's right, but what we're trying isn't working. And in fact, what you're doing when you're using these conventional parenting approaches is you're actually going to butt up, right up against your child and right up against those natural temperament characteristics and personality traits, because they completely go against what your child needs and what your child will respond best to. So it is not surprising that I felt like a complete failure for the first 4 or 5 years of my parenting journey. And I, at the time, was already a trained therapist. I had a child psychology degree, a family therapy degree. I've worked with kids my whole career. I was a parenting expert by that point. But I had no idea what I was doing with my strong-willed child. So I just want you to know that you are seen and you are not alone if you are feeling that way today. It is not anything that you're doing or not doing. What it is it's the way that this dynamic just is. When there's a child with more complex needs and a more complex temperament and the wrong approaches with parenting, this negative dynamic will happen. And this is exactly the third thing that we're going to talk about today. This leads into it perfectly, the destructive trap that you need to get out of. So what all of the conventional parenting approaches tell us to do is focus on what? We focus on behavior. Behavior. How is our child behaving? What are they doing, right? We don't focus on how they're feeling, right? We focus on what they're doing. And either is it deemed positive, is it deemed negative, is it deemed good or bad, naughty or nice or whatever, right? But we're trained to look at these behaviors and to have control and essentially extinguish or stop any negative behaviors, right? We need to have control of our child. Otherwise, they're out of control and we're bad parents. That's kind of the cultural perception, right? If you agree, let me know below if you identify with this. Let me know in the comments. So we focus all on the behavior. We hyper-focus on their behaviors. We start to overly identify with their behaviors, which means that we take them personally, right? So instead well, first, before we get to that, so yes, we take them personally. We start to feel like it's an affront to us as a parent, that our child is being disrespectful, that their behaviors are signaling that we're not good enough and that we're not doing enough and that they don't respect us, even though we do everything for them. And we really take it personally, and we believe that we should be in control of them. And so we stop at nothing to try to control them. We do more of the things that aren't working, right? Do you agree? Let me know if you identify with this. You do more, right? I just have to do more timeouts. I just have to do it quicker. I just have to take more things away. I just have to be firmer. We just won't stop until we gain control. And the thing is your child naturally has a higher need for power and control because of how they are hardwired. So when we continually fight them and battle them for control, this is destructive. It's destructive to them and their behavior. It's not going to help improve their behavior and flexibility. It's destructive to the parent-child relationship and connection, because those strategies are not meeting your child's needs, right? We're doing what we think we need to do, what everyone else is telling us to do, what has been done in the past, but you're not doing what your child needs. And every child has different needs. Your child is more complex, and so they'll need more complex parenting approaches. That's just the way it is. So we have to get out of this vicious cycle where we hyper-focus on the behavior and constantly chase the behaviors and try to strangle the behaviors with our control, right? And try to control them. And instead, we need to step back. Before we do, we need to understand, we need to be, and then we can do, right? So be first, do later, act later. So when I say be, what does that mean? It means we need to just stop. Most things are not an emergency. I know it feels like it is when your child is engaging in a challenging behavior. That's likely because you are being triggered, which is a whole nother conversation and another training for another day. But if you are being emotionally triggered, it will feel urgent, right? It will feel like somebody is pushing a button in your brain that is saying, make this stop now. And all of a sudden you're there, grabbing your child or whatever, talking to them more harshly than you wish that you were. So we need to stop before we act, and we need to look deeper than the behavior. Stopping at the behavior at a surface level for a more complex child is not going to help. It's not going to help. It's not going to get you anywhere but stuck in this behavioral cycle, in this behavioral trap. What we need to do is we need to look beneath the behavior. I need you to get curious about what's happening for your child in that moment. What it could be going on for them that would be causing them to be engaging in these behaviors. What are they communicating to you through their behavior? Oftentimes our little people cannot verbalize what's going on with them and their emotions. Those are higher thinking processes that they're often not able to do, especially if they're emotionally distressed. So we have to be the detectives for them. We have to figure out what is going on under those behaviors. And then, and only then, will you be able to help support whatever their challenge is, that deeper challenge, or help build skills in an area that they are needing more support with, so that they can in turn be more successful later that day or next time they're in that situation, right? But just continually going after the behavior and applying kind of a behavioral band-aid is not going to work in the long term, and it will disconnect you and push your child away from you emotionally. And I know that's not what you want at all. I know that you want to feel more confident and competent as a parent. I know that you want more cooperation with your child and more fun, because sometimes it just feels like every simple thing is a battle, right? I can so clearly remember that myself still from years ago, going to the park. And some days I felt like, I don't have enough energy to go to the park today because I know what it's going to entail. I know that getting out of the house is going to take 50 commands and redirections. I know leaving the park is going to be a struggle. I just don't have it in me today. Why does everything feel so hard all the time? Was such a common thought. So I know that you want those things and you want love and connection with your child. So I really hope that you know that you're not alone, and I hope this was helpful for you. And yeah, I'm just super grateful that you joined me today, and I will see you in the next training. Have a great day.